Hey, what's up, guys? I had a pizza lunch, and my body is not recovering from it. I am so tired, dude. Food coma is such a thing that happens in America. I don't get food coma this hard in Korea. It feels terrible. It feels really terrible. I already drank way too much coffee. I'm not trying to drink more. Oh, dude, I'm just trying to wake up. So I'm gonna just do some random things. I let my hair down, as some of you guys can tell. I let my hair down. I'm just sort of trying to wake up, man. Dude, so tired. So what I was thinking of doing was, I have so many things, honestly, that I kind of need to do. But one thing I need to do is timestamps for my previous video. But I was also thinking about like baby formula. This is like this thing that's happening right now in the States. In the States, the land of the free market. And I'm trying to figure out what this whole thing is. Well, like, what is this? Why is this happening? So I want to do a little bit of random learning right now, just figuring out this thing that's happening on the earth. The U.S. is such a weird place, honestly, and it's such a strange place. I'm dying, guys. Okay, there's product recall, which is interesting, and import restrictions, which is, thank you, Donald Trump, and market concentration, which is, thank you, American market. Infant formula oftentimes does not have a acceptable substitute. I've never raised a baby before, so I don't really know. But apparently, hang on, infant formula, not supplement. What's the word? Replacement. "50-50 mixture of formula and cow's milk." Do's and don'ts. One thing that confuses me about this is what did babies eat before the invention of formula? What did babies eat in the medieval era? Like, what did they do? It's like, so breastfed, sure. Don't make your own formula? Isn't regular milk cow's milk? What the hell is, I'm kind of confused by this whole thing that's happening. That's legitimately so crazy. What's wrong with America?
Absolutely, Roxy, words like anxiety, desperation, just overall worry, just the emotions that parents are feeling as they think about trying to feed their children. And they're saying, yes, they hear that the feds are promising relief on the horizon, but they're taking solutions today. At just 3 months old, little Dylan relies on special hypoallergenic baby formula to thrive. But when his mom opens up the cabinet to make meals, she worries. Knowing that this is really like maybe a week's worth, a little more.
Okay.
Mom Alexandra feels weak.
I don't love the news. Hang on, what happened? I was looking at this zero hedge tweet formula. No, I'm just gonna go with zero hedge. I know it looks like a porn account. It's not. They're like trolls. Where's the baby formula tweet? All right, this is what I was looking for. This is such a crazy thing to happen. Like, why does this happen in America? Baby formula from people I follow. Amaze, what's up? Yeah, I'm just looking at. I'm addicted to Twitter, so I assume if I'm addicted to Twitter, I might as well be addicted while streaming. Kill two birds with one stone. This thing's so crazy, man. Like the fact that the market let this happen is such a crazy situation. That's so sad. I don't usually laugh at Mark Norman's tweets. I love his comedy. I love his stand-up. Yeah, he's a stand-up comedian. I don't usually love his podcasts, and I don't usually love his tweets. But damn, that was so funny. Zero Hedge is all up on this. Just lift the tariffs. Yeah, John Lee, very angry Korean political watcher. Flying in from Europe. Tariffs. Might as well. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but if we say might as well start announcing 5-year economic plans, does anybody know what that joke is? It's like it's a communism joke. Might as well be communist. Because Stalin and Mao had 5-year plans for economic development under their communist regimes. So. Man, this is such a crazy thing to happen. It blows my mind. Okay, what does Andrew Yang say? Okay, I'm gonna read this Yahoo Finance article in a bit, but let's start with Zero Hedge, because Zero Hedge is always is always fun. I'm gonna change the title of this stream because maybe I'll find some random people. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on with baby formula in the US markets? And baby formula in US markets. Baby formula and US markets. All right. Oh, dude, I'm still so tired. Okay, Florida Trio was recently for their $200 million baby formula fraud scheme. Wait, 9 years before? What the hell? It's not even related. What is this frauds? What is this crazy thing? How do you fraud? Oh, interesting. But they were selling it in the US. I see. I mean, this is not even related. Okay, this is not even related. Okay, I think I'm back. I think I'm back. I am. But my computer is going crazy right now. OBS, please. OBS. OBS. Please optimize this a little better. So painful. So painful, man. I feel like it's not a good year to be a parent in America, man. What's with this baby formula situation, and then like Udave, or hang on, I forgot the name of the Texas town. Udave, yeah. It's insane. And this reminds me of the beginning of the COVID thing when everybody started hoarding toilet paper and stuff, which is insane. Like, I don't get it. How is this society like this? It has one plant that produces formula. Bacterial infection, yes. America. Can I do a language passage? What does that mean? Is language AP Lang? What's language? Oh. Yo, Adam, just let me know what you mean by language. Yo, it sucks to be a parent right now. Dude, what the hell? uh, yeah, the writing. Okay, writing language. Yo, I'm gonna do the writing language test, but not this summer, not before this summer. I'm just not gonna get around to it. But if you have very specific questions, then you can let me know. Like I can answer if you have a question where I don't need to open a PDF just to answer your question. Like if you have a question that is fully worded within itself that I can answer just by reading your question only, then I will answer your question. But right now, the writing a language is not my priority, and I have a lot on my plate already. So I know that's kind of leaving you hanging. I'm sorry about that, but if you can, but the good thing about the grammar and writing, the writing test, is that there are already a lot of resources. There are a lot of resources already. So if you can, find some of these other books, they're only like $20, $30 to buy. That's all. That's all. Like, obviously, it's better than, like, $20, $30 is not better than free, and YouTube is free. So $20, $30 is more money than free, but then $20, $30 is also way cheaper than tutoring, like way cheaper than tutoring or classes. So there are many resources out there. Also, I don't mind answering questions. Thanks for understanding. Abbott had a 43% market share. American companies piss me off. Like, Jesus. They get market share and then they neglect their customers that brought them there in the first place. Now, this is a very different argument from what Elizabeth Warren and certain people on the left are making, okay? Because I don't fully sympathize with that argument. I'm just talking about business behavior. Is so self-destructive. Discord, I understand you have a good market share among the gamers, but hey, just because you're winning doesn't mean you're gonna act like an asshole, or are you? Are you just gonna ignore your? Come on, that pissed me off. I didn't want to deal with this. So of course, when you have 43% market share, you're totally winning the market. You're not a monopoly, obviously, when you're at 43% market share, but you're like up there. You're comfortable. Then of course you're gonna have like gross ass bacteria in your factories. And you're gonna be really slow to even move around. And one thing I feel like is a big difference between labor in America and labor in like Korea, for example, is, in Korea, people don't necessarily love their jobs. It's, people are people, but Koreans work hard and they take, I don't know if pride is the right word in it, but I've just seen so many. I don't want to generalize too much. This is too generalizing, so I'm being careful now. But I just feel like people, when they hate working, they really hate working here, and it shows. Its demand is set by the birth rate, and the market has been shrinking. That's interesting. That's a secular trend. I don't know if you guys know that word, secular, but secular is when it's outside of the control of the markets. That's interesting. There are fewer babies every year, so the market is shrinking, which means that there's no reason for a new upstart company to like come in and what do you call it? What's the word? And like disrupt the industry. Like a new startup would enter the market only if there's more potential in the future, right? But if the market is actually shrinking, then typically speaking, why would you already enter a very crowded market to sell something new if the market is shrinking and now it's going to become even more competitive? From a business standpoint, that doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense unless you have a specific angle that you're looking at. So that does explain why you have like this triply, right? Not a monopoly, but like a 3-company situation that have all the market share, and they're not really necessarily, on their toes. That explains part of it. When do you think we're going back to normal? I don't know which normal you're talking about. I don't know if you're talking about what's it called? Baby formula and supply chain disruptions. But supply chain disruptions, I've been hearing, but I'm not a macroeconomics expert, okay? I read a lot of economic news just because I'm that kind of person, just because I read a lot of things. But I would say, but I've been hearing that it's going to keep going for at least another year or two. So I'm just assuming it's going to take a long time. Now, this actually makes me more excited to be back in in Asia. Honestly, because America doesn't manufacture anything anymore. Not nothing, but like all the manufacturing, is in Asia, and America's shooting itself in the. It's a self-own. Have you guys seen that meme where you have like it's like three scenes? It's the first scene is a guy riding on a bicycle, feeling all happy. It's like ah, and then the second scene is a guy having like a stick and he sticks it into his own front tire, and then the third scene is him just like on the grass, like hurting. I mean, I feel like that's what America did with its manufacturing. I mean, just free trade, just give it to the Mexicans and the Chinese and the Vietnamese. You know, they're just going to make it all for us. You know, free, cheap labor, American labor, so expensive. Don't do it. And now if COVID busts out, you know, there's no manufacturing capabilities within America. And then if there's like a shortage of baby formula, then American parents are supposed to just fucking tough it out. Like, what the hell, man? Inflation decreasing. Supply chain issues, which leads to a lot of delay and eventually inflation. Hang on. You're giving a supply side argument for the inflation, which is interesting. Because the common argument I'm hearing is demand side. Now, again, I'm not a macroeconomic kind of expert, so I'm just a sort of informed layperson. But for me, the most common explanation I'm hearing is this bump in inflation is inevitable because of government policy. We poured trillions of dollars into the economy, and then the prices went up because we inflated the demand. That's the argument that I'm hearing. It's the most common argument, and it makes a lot of sense to me. Supply side, the supply shock, which is constrained by the supply chain disruptions, is real. So that probably doesn't help. Yeah, that definitely doesn't help. It definitely does not help. Now, I wish I knew like a pie chart of where all the money is supposed to be. Yeah, now I'm gonna lack data. I have no idea to what extent that would be affecting things. But like for example, how much of the demand side shock went into things like digital goods versus physical goods that need to be delivered from all or manufactured and delivered from all around the world? You know, how much of it went into physical goods that are produced on this land, and how much one of it came from outside? I don't really know, so it's hard to know. For me, the strict regulation really led to unbacked supply issues. Oh, let's put billions into production of goods, but have absolutely nothing to back it up. Being too strict back then really led to lack of planning for the future. I'm trying to imagine. So you're saying let's put billions into production of goods. Now, I think that's you talking about the infusion of cash, all the government assistance. There's a huge infusion of cash into the economy, but nothing to back it up. You have nothing to back it up. What does that mean? You're referring to nothing to back it up. You mean the supply chain is not ready, maybe? Because because the factories are not in the country, and the factories are not in the country. All of our shipping ports, like in California, they're not ready. Stuff like that. I think that's what you're talking about when you say nothing to back it up. Okay, yeah. Yeah. It's funny because America is the land of the free market, but it's so dysfunctional. Yeah, it's so the economy feels so dysfunctional. Because what it is, and I think there's a good liberal argument on this, okay, and there's a good socialist democratic argument for this. And I'm not an econ PhD. This is not my bread and butter. This is not what I breathe day to day. But when I think about it, if we completely trust Adam Smith's invisible hand, then you're gonna have bad actors, right? You're gonna have people acting in rational ways that are self-serving, and like when like classic issue is monopolies, but you don't even have to be a monopoly really to start acting kind of in societally non-optimal ways. Like you can just be a person with 40% market share, right? That's not a monopoly. You're not a monopoly. You have 40% market share, but you're winning so much the market. And the market is shrinking. If the market is shrinking, then there's no newcomers. You and your children, your grandchildren, you're all gonna be wealthy as fuck, right? Your friends, you're gonna drink wine out in California and France and whatever. You're set, right? So at that point, you're not even necessarily caring about the economy anymore, and you're not acting necessarily in an optimally rational way or optimal way, and so who cares? So who cares, right? And so the invisible hand means that fool is not going to care, but that fool is going to have an outsized impact on the whole economy. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. And this is different from Elizabeth Warren's argument, and it's similar though. There are some similarities, but the problem with Elizabeth, well, maybe what I should do is I should actually, now that I think about it, I've only heard very short, bite-sized clips of Elizabeth Warren's argument about the greed thing. So maybe it's unfair for me to just characterize Elizabeth Warren. In fact, I'm going to pause on mentioning Elizabeth Warren because I actually haven't given her my proper due time to actually analyze what she's saying. So let me pause on that. But there is an argument out there somewhere where people just think, oh yeah, companies are greedy. And that's kind of true, but the companies are always greedy. That's the whole point. That's why the invisible hand works, right? When it doesn't work is when they're not greedy when they no longer become greedy enough for the next new marginal benefit, right? That next marginal benefit is supposed to be optimally beneficial for society as a whole, but they no longer give a shit because they have enough market share. They actually need to be more greedy in some way, to keep optimizing for the next step, but they stop because they're good enough. And then there's no newcomers, there's no competition. Man, dude. And then there's these trade relationships. Dude, it's such a mess. Dude, in Asia, we manufacture, I'm gonna kind of mess up a metaphor, but we kind of shit where we eat. We're mixed in. We gotta feed ourselves what we eat in Asia. So Korea, and Korea is such a crazy place too because it's South Korea. It's cut off. There's no land connection. It's like an island because of North Korea. I actually don't know if it's still the case, but it used to be it was the number one shipping industry in the world because of that. And America's such a rich company. America's such a rich country. What the hell? It makes no sense. Thank you, Aksh. I'm glad you enjoy my SCT videos. Yeah, I don't know. Something about the American economy just seems messed up. I don't understand. I think it might literally be just too unregulated. But then that's probably not true. I don't know. It's too complicated because there's areas where it's overly regulated and there's areas where it's unregulated, and I don't know what it is. I'm not going to make sweeping statements about this. Companies are not greedy; they're simply functioning. The process is making much money. I don't understand why people say that because they're solely right. I think, see, that's the thing. When people say that companies are greedy, I think they're really just saying. So it's metonymic now. Now metonymic. I'll type it out because it's not a common word. It's metonymic. When we say, for example, Washington told Beijing, F off, right? That's a metonym. It's a synecdoche if you want to be really technical, but it's a metonym. But we're not saying Washington D.C., the city, like suddenly raised a voice, and then Beijing, the city, suddenly had like an ear, and then they were like, F off, like it wasn't like that. Obviously, it's it's not literal. It's metonymic. It's Washington, as in certain people who are physically in Washington, who are associated with Washington, are calling Beijing and be like F off, or they're tweeting something or whatever. That's what they're referring to. It's metonymic. It's a sort of way of symbolically representing what's happening. And so when I think the rhetoric, okay, because as an English language teacher, right, the rhetoric is Facebook greedy, Google greedy, Apple greedy. But what we're saying really is, like what they're trying to say really is board members, CEOs, the executive suite, these people are greedy. They're greedy people. And there is a certain segment of the American population and just the world population that believe that when companies have greedy people in it, then the company will act in a way that's like harmful for society. And I think that's an interesting argument. I don't think it's completely not invalid. I think there are some valid aspects of it. Like because there are many stories of corrupt people doing weird things. There are many stories of corrupt people leading. Doing bad things, but then also because they're enabled by power, that they can do bad things at a very large scale. So there are many stories of that. Now, that is not to discount what Akshay is talking about, which is, people make money because they work hard. I think when we look at statistically the whole big picture, the whole picture of all of the entrepreneurs in the world, of all of the business people in the world, of all of the, even just like the people who don't even consider themselves businesses, they don't even know that they are business people. They don't even know that they're entrepreneurs, but they're basically doing business. They're basically doing entrepreneurship, right? When we look at the whole of all of their activities, then I would say like 98, 99% of it is actually just them working hard, trying to provide value to other people and, make some bucks, right? That's what it is, and you get rewarded when you're good at it. And some of them are not very good at it, so they don't get rewarded very much. Some of them are better at it, so they get rewarded more and whatnot. I think when you look at the whole of it, it works. That's why people should learn economics, by the way. You guys should all learn economics. If you want to be a functioning citizen in society, you guys should all learn basic economics. You should know how the whole picture works. But that's not what sells in the news. In the news, we don't tend to focus on the big statistical picture. We tend to focus on specific outlier cases. And I think that's what it's what excites the imagination. And I think even that is important. It's important to notice the outlier cases too, to see when people distort the market. So distortions also do happen. I'm trying to think of an example right now, but I mean, I'm looking at this example right now, man. What the hell? In any rational market, in any efficient market, there would already be baby formula. There would. But why is it not efficient enough to produce baby formula, right? So again, hang on. I'm not talking about any particular CEO right now, right? So statistically speaking, I would believe that the vast majority of actually, okay, here, if we got to get into it, right? There's many types of CEOs. Hang on. There's many types of CEOs. I'm going to mince my words carefully, but basically anyone who's running a company is doing hella work. Because it is a lot of work to be running a company. There's no way. Now, there are certain companies in certain markets that are allowed to be complacent. That's also true. Okay, it's also true. You can have very lazy CEOs. It's possible. Okay, but generally speaking, if you've been with a company for years and you brought it from a position of weaker market position, weaker market share to larger market share, a stronger market share. If you actually grew the company, you were a fucking rock star. And the sad truth is, if you don't have much stake in the company, if the financiers had more stake in the company, you actually didn't make as much money as your stakeholders, which is kind of like people and in the political rhetoric, we in one strand of political rhetoric, they complain about how the CEOs are taking, they make 100 times more money than like the employees and whatnot, and it's an interesting statistic, and it's a very tantalizing, it's a very titillating statistic, but the economy doesn't just work by those kinds of ratios. That's not what the economy works on. So it's not like. Actually, I hesitate to even say that. That's kind of an interesting thing I just said. I'm going to pause on that, but those CEOs sometimes are producing 100 times more value to society. Like, that's just true. Value in terms of quantifiable value. I mean, we can get all spiritual and mystical about this, but I'm talking about material value. CEOs of certain companies are sometimes producing outsized value to society. And the question is, should they get compensated like literally one for one for the amount of value that they provide to society? I don't know. That's an interesting debate that can be had, but they're not evil or even lazy. A lot of times they're actually really hardworking. A lot of times they're actually very, very smart and very, very kind and very hardworking. So I can say that. All right. I want to actually investigate a little bit more of this situation here, though. What the hell is going on here, man? What is this? What is this stupid thing? Okay, so the birth rate thing was kind of was new information for me. This birth rate thing. Repercussions are inevitable when anything gets in the way of a certain product getting to store shelves. Okay, that's a very complicated way of saying it's a very fragile market. Okay. I feel like the U.S. government is underfunded, dude, and poorly managed. And maybe the U.S. government is too large. You know what I mean? But like the governments of the United States of America, dude, what the hell, man? Yeah, this is actually talking about, it's not very lucrative. We are talking about this already. Expanding its share. Wait, why not though? Because are they only selling to the American market? There is a global market. There is such a thing as global market. Why are you not making, because you know what it is? Because American manufacturing is garbage, and everybody knows this. The global market doesn't want American manufacturing because we're overpaid. We're overpaid, and this is gonna make me sound like a boomer. I'm gonna sound literally like a boomer when I say this, but like we're overpaid. No one works. It's just you get much harder workers. You get much harder workers in other parts of the world for the same dollar because American. This is what the boomers say. I never thought I'm going to say this, but that's. I think it's just true. I think it's true. No one wants America. So maybe it's a cell phone. Maybe Abbott is the biggest player in America, but they can't even expand globally because American manufacturing sucks. I mean, think about Intel versus TSMC and Samsung. American manufacturing went to I mean even and that's such a critical industry. Sad. Is the FDA responsible? Yeah, of course there's one entity that's responsible for the whole thing, right? Because that's what we love in journalism. There's always one reason why the whole thing is failing. Abbott is not the only. Yes, friend. A situation can have more than one cause. You know. Who would have thought baby formula, dude? In America, by the way, Akshay, are you in the States? I'm not sure. It sounds like you are. Or at least you're very interested in American politics. No, I'm not taking the June SAT because I'm not allowed to. I'm only allowed to take March, May, and October. I feel like America has a morale problem. I'm changing my hypothesis now. Earlier my hypothesis was what's it called? Patel, are you like the son of like the Google? Not Google. Wait, who's a Patel in? There's many Patels in like the top countries. You're like defending the CEOs right now. Like, are you like? Hang on. Citibank. I think Citibank was a Patel, right? The Citibank CEO. I'm gonna look it up. I'm sorry if I'm looking up your family history. What? Jane Fraser? That is definitely not Patel. I'm using the wrong screen. One day, us Koreans will have just as many positions in American boardrooms. Just as many as Indians. Just kidding. Why am I saying just kidding? Yeah, that's definitely possible. But I am kind of being facetious because I don't think that's really the most important metric for a healthy society. Citibank, former CEO. Am I right? Dude, there's like so many names. Oh, no, never mind. I'm sorry. Just Indian name. I'm terrible. I'm just a racist. Every Indian name is Patel to me. Okay, there we go. It's okay. Every Korean is like Kim, right? To everyone else, so whatever. When a drunk driver causes a car crash, the drunk driver bears most of the blame, but so does the bartender. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of a cute analogy, but complex systems don't have such linear. Anyway, whatever. Never mind. I'm gonna move on. That's just me being pedantic. Moving on. The FDA was too slow. The FDA was too slow, just like the police, man. The police in Uvalde. Yo, America, the land of litigation and and low morale workforce and high compensation. It's crazy. America's such a paradoxical place. It's crazy to me. I love it, and I'm puzzled by it, and I am of it, but I don't feel with it. It's such a crazy country. I've been living in Korea for 10 years, and I get culture shock every time I come back to America. It's just such a crazy place. Dude, what the heck, man? Normally produces 98%. I wonder why they didn't import more than that. 98%, that's kind of crazy. And trading partners in Mexico, Chile are key sources of imports. But that's the craziest thing, because earlier this other political watcher, he was, what's his name? John Kim? Was it John Kim? Oh, no. He was saying this. He said it really well, I thought, in a very snarky way. Okay. For fuck's sake, why? Just lift the tariffs and there's a bunch of baby formula right over the border in Mexico. So stupid. John Lee sort of brings out the cannons with his sarcasm here. Not sarcasm, but with his scathing criticism here. But that does make some sense to me. I mean, why not just broker a quick deal? Is it because maybe we kind of pissed them off? With the last 4 years, do we have any recourse to having a sane conversation with our neighbor down south of the border? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a politics person. Most Asians like us are innovative. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say most. I think most people all over the world just generally suck. But I do think there is something to be said about a hungry people. I do think there is something to be said about a hungry people. Even out of 100 hungry people, 80, I think 50 of them or more will suck. I'm just being kind of dismissive, but just bear with me for a second. Out of 100 hungry people, even 50% of them might suck, but out of 100 complacent people, bet your ass 80% of them will suck. so we just, so I think it's really just a statistical difference there. I don't know. I'm not going to say most Asians are innovative. I disagree with you there. I think I can think of a million Asians that are not innovative whatsoever or hardworking whatsoever. But yeah, but I do think I think there's a good, there's a strong motivation. There's a strong motivation that drives hungry people. And I don't even necessarily mean physically hungry, but I think it is part of it, right? Like if our families have come from a country and we know the situation of our country and we see the United States and we see that there's a differential, right, in the opportunities, then we're more thankful for those opportunities. We're more hungry for those opportunities. And I think at a statistical level, at the macro level, that is going to make a big difference. Yeah, I live in the States. I mean, I will not live. It's hard for me to say I live here because I'm going back and forth between Korea and States. And I think in the fall, I'll be in Vietnam instead. So I'm like not living, but at the moment I am in Brooklyn. So I am in the East Coast just like you. I want to know what Andrew Yang says about this, actually. I'm kind of curious. So I kind of more or less read this, so I'm done with that. Wreck-It is a hilarious... Wreck-It is wrecking Wreck-It is wrecking us. This is the Swiss... No, it's the British baby formula company. I don't know what it is about Abbott Laboratories, but I would short this company. I feel like you got to short this company because if you have manufacturing capabilities and you can't ship your product, what's wrong with you? To your own country, and you're not thinking about the global market at all? Okay. I'm done. Apparently, it could be a short-term squeeze. I always find Andrew Yang's opinions interesting, at least. So I'm gonna go and check his opinions out. Wait, what? Oh, this is not his opinion. Okay, his opinion is just on Twitter, and this is the link. I see. Let's look at the thread. Must be nice in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is, it's like. My brother is doing very well now, so it's nice to be at his house. He has a nice house. But Brooklyn is expensive. It's too expensive for me. I need to live somewhere where it's not this expensive. The shortage of baby formula is a national failure. How hard is it to get a plant reopened? Andrew Yang, you already know the answer. It's not that hard, but American manufacturing is crippled. You already know this answer because you were complaining about the same thing about when we had the toilet paper crisis and the sanitizer crisis 2 years ago. But it must be frustrating as a politician. It must be frustrating that you can't really, I mean, you can, I mean, as a politician, it's your job to do something about it, but you're just one politician out of so many, and there's so many forces outside of your control that make it really hard for you to do what makes sense to you. This is a good little exchange here. Unfettered capitalism. It's that simple. So someone who is against the markets, and then someone who is for the markets, Scott, is going tariffs, barriers, contracts, monopsony, death. Why would capitalism do this? Which is why this is honestly a really, I'm sure there's truth on both sides. I just don't know how to, I'm not smart enough to be able to articulate why I think there are truths on both sides. The housing market is something that I think about a bit because the housing market seems so insane. But the housing market is definitely not just capitalism, unfettered capitalism. The reason that the housing market's so effed up is not just unfettered capitalism, and yet it gets blamed for being unfettered capitalism. And so it's just this crazy debate, and there's so much confusion, and a lot of people who don't seem to understand economics just like yelling into the void. It makes it very confusing. Tricky stuff. Yeah, people want more free trade. See, the thing is that it's not even an antitrust problem, right? Like, yeah, you break it up, but then maybe they'll compete a little bit more, but no one wants to compete in this space. That's the problem. And then we don't have other countries that, dude. This guy is just going to continue to meme this over and over and over again, huh? Okay. All right, I think that's good enough. I learned enough about the baby formula situation. Baby formula situation is ridiculous. That's my conclusion. Boo. Wow, sad. Wow, what a shit show. Holy crap. This Wikipedia article is actually pretty lit. I don't know. I feel like we're just blaming one company when it's honestly a lot more issues. Dude, what a mess. I'm just skimming some of this. Oh, it just upsets me. What a mess. Okay, well, I learned a lot. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's going on? This is OBS. All right. I think I'm energetic enough to do an actual SAT stream, so I'm about to get started. I'm awake. I'm going to do the SAT. All right. Going to wrap up this stream and let's get going. Peace out, guys.